Good morning students. Today I shall be starting a new chapter, that is chapter number 6, developing GUI applications in Java using NetBeans 2. And the topic for discussion today shall be working with the list box and the combo box controls. Now let's start with the list box control. The instance of the JList class represents a list box. That means whenever you drag and drop a list box control from the palette window onto your form, the instance of the list box belongs to a class known as the JList class. And the list box control helps in displaying the list of items. You can even select one or more items from a list box. It can hold any object that can be displayed. You can use the model property of the list box control to specify the list of values to be listed in it. Now here is an example of a list box containing 5 different items represented as item 1, item 2 and so on till item 5. Now I shall explain you how to use the model property of the list box to specify the list of values to be listed in it. Now see, this is a list box. It contains 2 items, mango and orange. Now just look over here. So this was the list box which contains 3 items, apple, mango and orange. Now I shall select this list box and come over here. I shall choose the model section. Now if I wish to add some more items into this list box, I can do so after coming over here. And then let me add pineapple as the fruit, and let me add another one, that is grapes. And after adding these 2 items, I shall click on OK. Now the list includes 2 more items in addition to apple, mango and orange. Those are pineapple and grapes. And this was made possible only after choosing the model section and adding some more items onto it. So this is the model section. You can find it in the properties window. Now see, you can even select one or more items from a list box. Let me show that to you. At first, let me run this application. So this is the list box. Now if I happen to use the mouse cursor and select a particular entry, it picks up only one element, right? As you can see clearly here, I'm using the mouse cursor to select a particular element out of this list box, but every time it selects or it picks only one item. Now what if I wish to choose more than one item out of this list box? In that case, say if I wish to choose apple, mango and grapes from this list, for that I have to press the CTRL key from the keyboard. So I have already chosen grapes. Now I shall press the CTRL key from the keyboard. Then select this grapes element with the help of the mouse click. And then again I shall use the mouse cursor and click on apple. And then I shall use the mouse cursor and click on mango. And I shall not release the CTRL key from the keyboard. So the work of the CTRL key and the mouse click shall be done at tandem. Never release the CTRL key from the keyboard. Now as I have finished selecting all the items that was needed, which are apple, mango and grapes, I can release the CTRL key now, and as well as the mouse button. So this selects 3 elements from this list box, which are apple, mango and grapes. Now let's discuss about the different methods of the JList class. The first method is the append method. The append method appends or adds the text in a list box. Now if you wish to add this text called alpine into the list box, you can do so by writing the following command. the JList1 here represents the instance name of the JList class. Okay, and with the help of this instance, it is calling the method append to add the text alpine into the list box. Then come over here, the next method is set font. The use of this set font method is to set the font of the list box object. It takes one parameter of the font class. So any element or any object that you add into a list box, okay, you can set the font for that element, okay, using the instance name of the list box. Now if the instance name is JList1, I use JList1 instance and calls the set font method, okay, and inside the method I shall have to put the argument or the parameter. Okay, so the parameter shall be the property. Okay, the first one is the font family. Okay, the second one is the font style, and the third one is the font size. Okay, in this case the property font family represents Arial, the property font style represents 1, which is bold, and the property font size represents 14 here. Okay, and this property belongs to the font class. Okay, so this is the font class belonging to the package java.awt.font. okay, so here AWT means application window toolkit. Then come over here, the next method is set enable. This method is used to activate or deactivate the list box. It takes one parameter of type boolean, okay, where boolean can represent either true or false. Now if I activate the list box, the list box will be enabled, and if I deactivate the list box will be disabled. Now using the instance name JList1, I shall call the set enable method and put the boolean value as true. Okay, only if I want the list box to be enabled, but if I wish the list box to be disabled, I shall put the boolean value as false instead. Then let's come below. The next method is set visible. This method makes the list box visible or invisible. It takes one parameter of type boolean. Okay, now using the instance name JList1, if I call the set visible method and put the parameter as true, okay, then the list box shall be visible. But in case if I put the parameter as false, the list box shall be invisible to us. Then come below, the next method is set selection mode. This method sets the mode of selection of items in the list box. It takes one parameter of type numeric constant. So here is the instance of the list box, okay, which is JList1, and using this instance it's calling the set selection mode method, okay, and taking the parameter as normal. Now if I put the parameter as normal for the set selection mode, then multiple options can be selected from the list box, and that I had already shown you. You just have to press the CTRL key from the keyboard, okay, and use the mouse click to select the particular items or elements from the list box. Now look over here, I have clicked on this list box. This brings me to the properties window here, okay. So just below the model section you have the selection mode section, okay. By default it's multiple interval, okay. Now multiple interval represents the numeric constant normal. So the normal that you are seeing here, okay, represents the numeric constant which stands for multiple interval. Now if I do not choose multiple interval to be the selection mode, okay, and let me choose single as the selection mode. Now let me run this application. Now let's say I wish to choose the items mango, orange and pineapple, okay. Now that pineapple is already chosen, in addition to pineapple I wish to choose mango and orange, okay. Now I'm pressing the CTRL key from the keyboard, okay, and clicking on the mouse button, okay, but still I'm not able to select multiple items. This is because I have set the selection mode not to normal or multiple interval. I have set the selection mode to single. So when the selection mode is single, remember that you can choose only one item from the list box. Okay, that's why this time I was not successful in selecting the items mango, orange and pineapple, okay, uh, as multiple entries from the list box. Now I shall show you a program in Java to append or add the value of a text field and the list box control into a text area control. Okay, so here is the interface design. Okay, it consists of two labels, title and name. This is the list box control, okay, that is associated with the first label, title, and this is the text box control associated with the second label, name. Okay, and here is the add button. This is the text area control. The difference between this text field control and the text area control is that this text field control shall accept only single lines of text. Okay, multiple lines of text are not supported by this text field control, but this text area control, since its size is bigger than the text field control, okay, this shall accept multiple line entries or multiple line texts. Now the function is of the add button, okay, is to extract the content out of this list box and the text field and fetch it into this text area control. So we can say that the click of this add button will act as an event, okay, which shall generate a series of code, and each of those code shall be executed so that the selected content out of this list box and the name specified shall be extracted and fetched into this text area control. Now for that, let me first draw this interface in the NetBeans window. Let me first create a project, and then under the categories section let me choose Java, and under the project section let me choose Java application, and then come over here. I shall click the next button. Then let me specify the project name as listbox pros1. Now I don't want to create a main class for my project, okay, so the checkbox shall remain unticked, and then I shall come over here and click this finish button. So this shall create our new project, which is listbox pros1. Now I shall right click on this project, click on new, and then click JFrame form. Okay, now I wish to specify a class name for my project. Now you remember that I have unticked the create main class option. Okay, so instead of creating the main class, I will be creating a different class name. Okay, so let me specify the name of that class. Let it be listbox class. Okay, then I shall come over here and click this finish button. So this shall create the class, okay, identified as listbox class inside my project. Now just as the class has been created for my project, I can see the new JFrame form getting displayed exactly like this in the design window. Now by default the size of this JFrame form is too small. I can drag its ends to increase the size. Now the next thing I have to do is to drag the list box, the text field and the text area control from the palette window onto the form. Okay, so let me do that. At first let me drag the list box, then let me drag the text field, and then let me drag the text area control. Now I will need one button to be dragged from the palette window onto this form. So let me drag the button. Now here title represents a label and name represents a label. So I need to drag two labels from the palette window onto this form. Okay, so let me drag two labels. This is the first label associated with this list box, and this is the second label associated with this text field. Okay, So the name of the first label shall be title and the name of the second label will be name itself. Okay, so title and name. So let me select the first label and change the text to title, and then let me select the second label and change the text to name. Now let me change these elements inside the list box. Okay, by default the elements are item 1, item 2 and so on till item 5. Okay, so let me choose the model section and replace these items with Mr., Miss and MS and click on OK. So here it is, the new items are being listed in this list box. Now let me clear the text property of this text field. Okay, so now I shall remove the default text, which is JText field 1 for this text box. As a result, the text property has been cleared for this text field. Now let me increase the size of this text area control. Now I have to put the name add for this button. This can be done by selecting the button. Okay, by default the text is J button 1. Let me put add here. Okay, as a result the button now shows the text add. Now let me increase the font sizes for these labels. Okay, for title I have to select the font property. Okay, let me keep the font family as Tahoma. I want to make the font style as bold and the font size is 14. Okay, same I shall do for the label text name. Okay, and then I shall do that same for the button text add. Now see, the font size has become much larger and it's getting bold. Now see the workflow of this interface design. Just as I click the add button with the help of the mouse, okay, the title selected, okay, the title selected from this list box and the name specified in this text box should be fetched into this text area control. That means the click of this add button shall act as an event, okay, which will extract the selected element out of this list box and the name specified from this text box and fetch it into this text area control. And that can be done after executing a series of Java code. Okay, so these two statements represents the Java code that needs to be executed on clicking the add button. So at first I shall double click on the add button to generate the event handling code. Okay, so these two statements represent the event handling code. After double clicking on it, this will generate the J button 1 action performed method. Now let me double click on this add button. Okay, as a result this leads me to the J button 1 action performed method. This method has a body represented by the opening parenthesis and the closing parenthesis, and inside the body of this J button 1 action performed method I shall put the Java code, and the Java code that I have to put is these two statements. Okay, and I'm going to put these two statements below the commented line, okay, represented as to do add your handling code here. Okay, so for that let me first copy these two statements and paste it here. Now look where I have pasted. I have pasted these two Java codes below the commented line, okay, represented by double slash. Okay, and it is the comment to do add your handling code here. So this is the same comment as represented here. Okay, to do add your handling code here. Now remember, when any text is preceded by double slash, then it becomes a comment. Okay, so whenever any text or a sentence or a word is preceded by double slash like this, it becomes a comment. So in this case, this highlighted section becomes a comment. And these two statements, okay, these are the Java statements. They are not preceded by double slash, so they are not comments. Now let's find out the instance name of each of these controls, that is the list box, the text field, and the text area. Okay, now let me click on this list box. The instance name of this list box is JList1, so remember this. The instance name of this text field is JTextField1, okay, as shown here in this properties window. In the same way, the instance name of this text area control is JTextArea1, okay, as shown here in this properties window. We will need the instance name of each of these controls, okay, to invoke or call some methods, and that I will be showing you now. Now look at the first Java statement. Okay, in this Java statement, it uses the instance name JList1 of the list box control. Okay, and it then invokes the set selection mode method and puts the argument as normal. Okay, now when the argument is normal for the set selection mode method, then in that case I will be able to choose multiple elements out of the list box. So from this list box I shall be able to select multiple elements out of it. Then come to the next Java statement. Okay, see this highlighted statement. In this statement, it uses the instance name JTextArea1, okay, of the JTextArea control, and then it calls the append method. Okay, it calls the append method to extract the content out of the list box, okay, and then the content from the text field, and then fetch it into the text area control. Okay, this is done by the get selected value method, okay, from the instance name JList1. So when this JList1, which is the instance name of the list box control, calls the get selected value method, then the selected element out of Mr., Miss or MS shall be extracted out from this list box, and that value should be added with this colon symbol. Okay, now since colon is within inverted code, okay, it shall be fetched exactly as it is in the text area control. That means if I choose Miss as title and name as Hansika, okay, so what gets fetched into this text area control is Miss colon Hansika. Now note the colon as shown here. Okay, this colon gets added to the title called Miss. So from this part of the statement we already got Miss colon. Now look at this part of the statement. It uses the instance name JTextField1 of the text box control, and then it calls the getText method. Okay, with the help of this getText method, it will extract the content Hansika from this text box control, okay, and then fetch it into the text area control just after the Miss and colon. Okay, so as a result I can see Miss colon Hansika as the second entry in this text area control. As a result, from this part of the statement, using the instance name JList1, it calls the get selected value method, which selects and extracts the content Miss out of this list box and then fetches into this text area control. Along with that, the colon has been added to show miss colon, and again it uses the instance name zxfield1 to call the getText method to extract the entry Hansika out of this text box control and fetch into this text area control. As a result, miss colon Hansika gets displayed in this text area control. Now note this slash and character at the end, okay, which is enclosed within inverted code. The slash and character is an escape sequence, okay, which will bring the mouse cursor to the next line. And if it does happen, any new entry, if it occurs, okay, that entry shall be made in the next line in the text area control. And this is clearly shown here. At first, the title chosen was Mr. and the name specified was Astic, okay, and on clicking the add button, which acts as an event, Mr. Astic gets fetched into this text area control, and this becomes the first entry of this text area control. And now, just because of this slash and character, the next entry, okay, the next entry where title is Miss and the name is Hansika gets added into this text area control, but in a separate line, okay, that is below Mr. Astic. So in that way, the slash and character, okay, is very helpful in filling up the entries of this text area control in separate lines. Now let me run this application. I will show it to you practically. Now let me choose the title as Mr. and name as Astic, and click on this add button, which will act as an event to fetch Mr. Astic as the first entry in the text area control. Okay, now if I choose the title of the next entry as Miss and name as Hansika, okay, and then click this add button, okay, this gets fetched into the text area control but in a separate line. This is because of this slash and character. Okay, so this is the escape sequence character, okay, which does that. And that's all for today. I hope this is clear. So with this, I end my presentation here.